Okay, well, hi everybody. We're here for our. We just watched the Barbie movie, and we're here
Yeah.
for the discussion. Um, I have to say, I enjoy. It was a little long.
Yeah,
It
it's just a
started to
long.
drag at the end,
Hmm.
but I enjoyed almost every second. Like I could eat it with every little scene of it with a spoon.
It's a gorgeous movie, and like most of the scenes are pretty entertaining and great on their own. Like I just don't think they hang together really well as a full film. But yeah, it's very entertaining. Like Ken is like Ryan Gosling as Ken is hilarious. He really is. It's like completely steals the movie.
It was a satire. It was one of the. It's one of the best movies I've seen in years. It was one of the best satires I've seen. The illusions were so dense and so subtle. Um, there's layers of it. I'd have to watch it 4 or 5 times to catch all of the little.
There's definitely a couple of things I caught watching it the second time that I didn't notice when I was out in theaters. Of course, some of that was maybe just because like, I had a baby in the theater, so I had to get up and walk around with her some. So I might have missed a couple of scenes here and there that there's a couple of things I didn't notice like the first time. But yeah, I mean it's definitely got a lot of layers to it. I mean it's just like but there's some things that are starkly confusing about what it's trying to say, especially the very last shot. But we'll get into that later. But for example, like there's one thing that really I noticed this time that I didn't really notice the first time. Like I noticed like how the corporate executive characters, right? The guys at Mattel, like they go they're at first they seem like they're like they're making up with these like caricatures of like stodgy white executive types, and then like but then when they're on their way to try to like save Barbie or whatever they're trying to do by going to Barbie Land, then like whenever like the guy's saying like he's telling them how like they're making all this money off all this Ken merchandise suddenly, and he's like why would that matter, we're making all this money, and he's like no, I didn't get into this, it seems sincere, he seems sincerely saying that he's didn't get into this to make money, he got into this because he wanted to like because he cares about little girls or something like that, and it's very strange that in the end like the character is completely flips back to being just a capitalist at the end. I just have no idea what they're trying to say with half the things in the movie. Like it contradicts itself so many times, but I do think it's very funny and it's very entertaining, and it is good in many ways. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just don't think it didn't seem like it knew what it wanted to be, which is like I mean I have a lot of love in my heart for movies that are ambitious train wrecks, which I think is supposed to be one of them, and I think it's very ambitious. Like it really tried. I mean they could have easily made a movie that didn't try nearly as hard and still made money off a Barbie movie. And it could have just been the Lego movie with Barbies, and like it could have been that. But this is like something on a much deeper level. Like the whole idea of Barbie having an existential crisis is pretty hilarious. Actually, I think that whole opening sequence, the whole opening third of the movie is really pretty great. To be honest, the entire
Yeah,
thing
I'd
of
say
just like
even more than third. Do you think you consider it a train wreck?
yes, because well, messaging wise, yeah. I mean, like because like what is it? What is the ultimate movie trying to say? It seems to hate men on one hand, but then at the same time, it portrays men in a very sympathetic, even like in
I
many
didn't
ways
get.
the most sympathetic light.
I'm one of the most sensitive people out there to androphobia and
Yeah, yeah.
misandry, and I didn't get that from this movie.
You didn't like
No, I really didn't.
the way like they're in Barbie Land, how like the like all it took was Ken learning the concept of patriarchy and coming back to brainwash everyone, and they try to paint him as a villain, even though he's clearly not a
Yeah, but
villain. He didn't
that's
he didn't do anything.
satire. That's not like
Right.
that's all satire. It's not man hatred. Busy holding. Somebody's trying to get on stage. I'm not sure who this is. It might be my friend,
Yeah, sure. Bring him
my
on.
Barbie friend, but I don't want to bring it on if it's going to be. Can you show your camera real quick just so I can see who you are, or
You know,
or
you always
type
just
to me in the
you can always
comments?
just kick them off if they're trolling.
I know, but sometimes they show porn and then it ruins the
Oh,
channel.
okay.
Um, yeah, just type in the comments, or you can. If you're on StreamYard, you can private type. It says private chat over on the right. You can just let me know who you are.
Or in the comments on YouTube, we can see those too, and StreamYard. So I didn't think about the porn thing. That's a good point. I haven't
Yeah,
done
they do
much
that on
streaming.
Android.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
This is Alan. Okay. Well, I mean.
Okay. Yeah, that's who I thought. Okay. This is my Barbie friend. He's actually a Barbie. I consider him a Barbie expert. He's a Barbie collector. He knows more about Barbie than anybody I know.
He's seen the movie. Did he see the movie? Oh, I guess
Yeah,
obviously
he
he
watched
knows more. Yeah.
He watched the movie with us.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is what I hear. Was it Mike in the chat or something like that? I didn't see
No,
that. I
that's
didn't
the
see
other
it.
one.
Okay.
The other person that joined us. So welcome, Alan. We're talking Barbie and patriarchy, and first of all, we talked about this last night. Like, it doesn't matter what the movie's intended messages are. The only thing that matters is what individual viewers can see in it.
That's true. That's true. I feel like I do feel like the messaging is confusing enough to where like I don't think anyone could really get any specific message out of it though. I mean,
That's why I think it's so rich. I think the messages are so layered and complex that it's if it's saying anything, it's saying many things at once.
I'm really interested to hear more about your take on it then, because like I'm really interested to hear what you got out of it, because like that's the whole reason I wanted to watch it with you and with everybody else, because I really want to hear you guys' takes on it, because like I admit the movie confused me in a lot of ways. I enjoyed it, but it still felt very confusing about like what it was even like. I mean, come on, let's go ahead and just address that ending. Why the hell was it important for her to go see a gynecologist? Why was that important?
Because she's a real woman now. She's like a real human woman.
Well, we got that though. We didn't need the gynecologist as being like a point. I mean, it seemed like it seemed like it was like this weird fake out kind of thing. It seemed like it was like the significant thing of like she was going to go to a job interview or something. She was going to go get her, become a real person, in the real world type thing.
That's part of the irony.
I guess. I mean, that part didn't seem satirical to me. That part seemed like they were trying to say something that I don't understand what they're trying to say myself. But I mean, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's
they're playing with expectations. They take you one way and then they confound it with.
So is it a case of it being subversive? It's being subversive just for the sake of being subversive.
I think it was subversive of everything. Like I'm trying to figure out if one single person wrote this or if there were a team of people with competing visions and creative ideas. Because if one single person wrote this, it's very complex. It's like
it feels like three movies. It feels like three movies that got cut apart and pieced together, like with like at least in terms of messaging wise, because like the stuff in the Mattel thing in the real world is more cartoonish than Barbie Land is, and then Barbie Land itself is like a whole thing, and then like the real world, like it's got like this big feminist message with like the mother that has her big feminist like thing, that speech that she gives everyone to deprogram them or whatever, and that stuff seems like to be almost at odds with the more satirical parts of the beginning. They're more satirical, but the idea of like of Barbies being in power and like and how they all say things like when one gets a award, for like even though they don't actually do anything, they're Barbies. They just kind of go around being Barbies everywhere. They have a costume on. Yeah, okay, I can hear you. Hey, how's it going, Alan? Right?
Yeah, welcome. We're talking Barbie. Well, I think part of so I didn't take it. I don't watch movies for messages. They're not like moral fables to me.
No, I mean, I don't watch them for that.
For the intricacy of the work itself. So from the beginning, I recognized that it was satirizing so many different things, like almost just rapid succession, one after the other. And so I watched it to see what they were going to like, what their take on things were going to be from scene to scene. And I wasn't trying to get some overarching statement,
right? Yeah,
message or so. All the stuff you're talking about is probably in there, but that didn't distract me at all because I wasn't looking for that. It wasn't even on my radar.
I get it. Jeff, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, how's it going, man?
Can you hear us?
Hello? He said he could, but I don't hear him now.
Oh,
Alan.
we heard you for a second. Can you hear us?
I hear him again, but I just don't hear him say anything. I can hear sound though.
Let's see. Can you hear us? Hello,
Uh,
hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Alan. Hello, Alan.
Can
There
you
we
see
are.
me?
I can see you.
We can kind of see. Yeah. Can you hear us?
Are you also trauma type?
No,
I don't
that's
know.
a
Yeah,
different
is it
Can you hear
okay?
me?
different guy. Can you hear us? We can hear
Yeah,
you.
Can you
we
hear
can
me?
hear you.
Keep coming in and out anyway.
Yeah, we hear you when you speak. I don't know if you can hear us for sure. It doesn't. I can't. We can't tell if you're responding to us or I mean, say something besides. Can you hear us? Like.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you fine. Can you hear me? Can you hear Chris? Can you hear Jeff? Can you hear anybody?
Can you hear me? Oh, trauma type is here. Okay. Hang on. We're trying to figure out technical difficulties. Let's see. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
We could see you for a minute too.
And if you go into settings at the bottom, you can set it to the right microphone and speaker.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. I don't know if you can hear us at all.
We can hear you.
If you get it figured out, man, like we can hear you. We can hear you just fine. If you can hear us, just come on and just say hi and start talking, man. We're
I'll send him
well,
an email. Because I don't know if he's. I think he's new to StreamYard, so I don't even know if he can see the comments. Barbie holding hands, Steffi. Oh, busy holding hands, Steffi. Yeah, he showed me the picture of this one doll from the 70s, Curl, Steffi with the curly hair or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. She has genitals. Well, I definitely want to hear about this.
I assume he's just talking about. I assume he's just talking about the end of the movie. He's saying like that's the point of the gynecologist thing is she has genitals. But I don't know. See, like to me that was pretty implied by the whole like becoming human thing.
I mean, I don't only consider
roasted. It's very complex. It's like it feels like three movies. It feels like three movies that got cut apart and then pieced together, like with like at least in terms of messaging wise, because like the stuff in the Mattel thing in the real world is more cartoonish than Barbie Land is, and then Barbie Land itself is like a whole thing, and then like the real world is like
Alan,
like it's big.
If you can hear me, mute
like,
your YouTube.
That, has her big feminist like thing.
Yeah, mute YouTube, please.
Everyone to deprogram them or whatever. And that stuff seems like to be almost at odds with the more satirical parts of the beginning. The more satirical, but the idea of like of Barbie being in power and like and how they all like,
okay, all right, well, that's interesting. All right,
so
well,
I don't want to spoil the ending, but I don't think there's really anything to spoil. But the whole time was happening. I reckon because I'm reading Genesis right now, so I'm recognizing the walking with God. Noah walked with God. Enoch walked with God, and so there was like a biblical analogy to that scene that was in my mind the whole time. It was so obvious to me.
That's interesting.
And then she translates into the real world as a human,
right?
And so I think that the gynecologist scene was just to underscore and highlight that she's now a human female. It could be like a slight nod at the trans issue and the what's a real woman, but also like they set it up to look like she was going to something important. But for her, what could be more important than having real genitals?
Well, just like it wasn't important for if that was like a stated goal of her throughout the movie, that what she wanted was to be a real girl kind of thing, that would make a lot more sense to me anyway. That's the whole thing of her saying she wanted to become a human, like only took place like the 5 minutes before that took place. So it seemed really strange to like make that the ending note of the movie, you know, like because it didn't really seem like it was about. It almost kind of boils Barbie down to her genitalia. Like you know, like it's kind of reducing a woman to her reproductive organs. Like you know, it's kind of a little strange.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's all part of the
subversiveness of it. Okay.
the subversiveness of it, but they were setting up for the sequel. That wasn't the end of the movie. That was the setup for the next movie, where she's probably going to be
maybe.
Barbie as a human, making her way in the human world. And they gave little hints of it when she first went to Reality Land, when she started to get in touch with human emotion. She didn't explicitly state, "I want to be a human," but we saw her start to have the human experience and start to be fascinated by it and want more of it.
I mean, I see a little bit of that. She seemed like she hated it the whole time, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I do see what you're saying. I mean, I do really, I do think it's one of the I guess the main problems, or one of the main, I don't know, issues I have with like the one thing it doesn't really address, that doesn't really fully bring it. I don't feel like it fully fleshes it out. I don't really fully feel like it really addresses how awful Barbie is to Ken. Really, it kind of does a little bit just because she apologizes, but like, I mean, it doesn't really address the fact that like the only reason like Ken rebels and does all this stuff is because Barbie's shitty to him. You know,
Yeah,
like,
but how realistic is Ken's need to constantly be adored and the object of the gaze of Barbie in the first place? Like,
well, that's true. That's true. Although it doesn't even seem like he wants
to be able to sustain that 24 hours.
It doesn't seem like he even wants that. Really, he just wants her to notice him at all, though, for the most part, because she kind of ignores him. I mean, don't you think? I mean, she kind of like it. Just, I mean, we don't see much of it, but it seems like she's just kind of annoyed by his presence for the most part. But I mean, which is fine, I guess. But it doesn't seem like it just seems like it's a weird part. That seems like it's supposed to be part of like Barbie from the beginning, even though like it seems like that would be something that would be coming from the real world, kind of like her thoughts of death and everything. But I just think the movie's inconsistent with a lot of that stuff, and it makes the messaging kind of confusing. But you're right, the messages don't really, the intentions don't really matter. I guess it's just. It just I didn't even like the movie it felt like it was definitely trying to be political to some extent, but it doesn't really seem to have any clear political message to it, because like I said, it makes the Kens are all the most sympathetic characters. So.
I didn't look for messaging. To me, it was like a psychedelic trip. I just enjoyed moment.
That's a good way to see it.
And whatever was happening in that moment.
That's a really good way to look at the movie. And I must say, I enjoyed a lot more in that level this time watching it. I was trying to think of like, you know, like things for the discussion too, but at the same time, I also I did feel like a lot of the scenes and I felt like when the first one saw it too, but like the scenes individually, if you don't really pay attention to like how they connect together, most of the scenes individually are very entertaining on their own. I think the one scene whenever Ken he's in Barbie Land.
I assume he's just talking about the end of the movie.
Can you hear us? Okay,
mute
your YouTube because there's an echo.
She has genitals. But, I don't know. See, like to me,
or close the YouTube.
To me, that was pretty implied by the whole like becoming human thing. I mean, I want the only person it's very complex. It's like
can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. We can hear everything.
Together, like with like at least in terms of messaging.
Oh, okay. His voice comes 2 minutes late after he speaks.
The real world is more cartoonish than Barbie Land is.
Oh, why?
And then Barbie Land itself is like a whole thing.
Do you have another set of like a headset or microphone you can use? It's something with your setup then. The echo stopped.
Yeah, the echo stopped at least. Lately, I'm not hearing the YouTube stream now.
If you can hear me and you go to settings at the bottom of the screen, it lets you select whatever microphone and speaker you want to use. And if you have a headset, that might work best. If you want to use the movie to like talk about current political issues, and I've heard this before from people who saw it even before I did. Anybody can use it to make their case for any of the narratives out there because it's so open-ended.
I guess. I mean, I kind of feel like it's the opposite, though. I kind of feel like because it's so open, you can't use it for to make any kind of case. I don't feel like
I feel like it
contradicts itself. So
that's part of the takeaway from it is the whole gender war or culture war, whatever we're in now, is nonsense. It can all be deconstructed. It's nonsense. We are living in a Barbie playground land, fighting this fantastical nonsense gender war.
It's an interesting take. I really like that. Yeah, I mean, seeing it as like like seeing like the Barbie land as like the actual metaphor for everything like that we're going through, the culture war stuff like it's like the that's really it's really interesting
Like
actually.
any perspective you try to take with this movie, there's a counter perspective to it in the movie as well. Just like
Yeah, that's true.
in life,
That's true.
it's just
That's true.
it's a clash of narratives and perspective. None of it's reality. It's all fake plastic Mattel Barbie fantasy stuff.
You might be convincing me that it's actually an even better movie than I actually already thought it was. I already thought it was pretty great, and just how ambitious and like even train wreck I thought it was. But I think from that perspective, I think I can definitely see like seeing it as intentionally contradictory is very interesting. And and I gotta say, like I'm a big fan of the people behind this movie. The Noah Baumbach, who made one of my favorite indie films of all time, Kicking and Screaming. And he's also been a writer. He's written movies with Wes Anderson, which I know you're not a big fan of, but
now I'm hearing an echo. Oh, never mind. I have my YouTube on.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm back.
All right, no problem. Yeah, and then Greta Gerwig, who got her start really acting in Noah Baumbach's thing. She was also the voice of Pony in China, Illinois, which is this really very anti-woke cartoon that was on Cartoon Network for like 3 years, and it's pretty hilarious too for that matter. And I mean, it was just a very politically incorrect cartoon that so it was really kind of hard to call her like some sort of like woke feminist type because of that alone. But then she's made 3 movies now. She's made a Lady Bird, which was a pretty decent coming of age film. She made a really good version of Little Women that came out a couple years back during the pandemic, and it was actually, I mean, I've always been a fan of film adaptations of Little Women, even though I don't like that book at all. I think the Winona Ryder version that came out in the 90s is still, I think it's a little better of a film, but I like that movie so much. I even suggested like one of my sisters was one of her middle names is Joanna. That was specifically because of Joanna and Little Women because of the movie. I mean, so like I am a huge fan of Gerwig herself, and she don't know Baumbach wrote the film, she directed it. So like I'm a fan of the people behind it. I do think I kind of like I was really I did not know Noah Baumbach co-wrote it until I saw it in theaters, so I had no idea he was a co-writer on it. So I do feel like there's like 3 competing things. I feel like Gerwig was writing a version. I feel like Noah Baumbach was writing a version. I feel like then there's a corporate version that kind of got put on top of it, where they probably had to like mute certain things had to be muted a little bit because like I mean I'm really surprised they got away with what they did with the corporate stuff, like the corporate satire stuff, making the Mattel Corporation kind of evil to some degree, but then at certain times not, So
yeah, I hope Alan comes back because he knows a lot about the history of the Mattel Corporation and all the ins and outs.
And apparently that is true that there was a female CEO of Mattel in the 90s. They said that in the movie. Apparently that's true. I looked that up. I do think their board actually has women on it right now, though, so which is a little weird. They didn't portray that in the film at all. But I guess that kind of goes against the whole idea that it's all the men are running the Barbie Corporation. But I don't know. It's a fascinating film. It really is. It's just I honestly I couldn't stop thinking about it after I watched it just because of like how bizarre it was for me. I can't believe it was a huge hit. I mean, it kind of almost gives me like the sometimes like weird, like I'm like wondering why it was a hit, and also like maybe that's like a sign that there's hope kind of for culture somewhat, because like it's a complicated movie to be such a huge hit. Complicated movies don't typically make
Hollywood's last hurrah. I didn't know what to expect going in, but the whole time, like when it started, I kept doubting whether I should be enjoying it as much as I was. Right? This is too good, and I'm enjoying it too much. Having way too good of a time watching the Barbie movie. Should this be happening? And my internet kept glitching out. I even had to reset the router at one point, so I missed some of the scenes at the beginning. But and it was blurry. So, but even despite the low quality,
it was
and
blurry.
Not even seeing all of the scene on my end, because my connection was so bad. So I wasn't getting the high quality version at all, and even with this blurry, low quality, I skipped some scenes. Even then, I was like glued to my couch the whole time. Like I could not get up to do anything.
It is. I mean, it really. I'm glad you enjoyed it that much. I really am. I was afraid. I was kind of afraid like the react. I was kind of afraid the reaction from you and everybody else would be like, why the hell did we watch this thing? So,
No, I mean I should. Me of all people, there's nothing about the Barbie movie.
well, it certainly
I
makes
should
a nice. Certainly makes a nice capstone to your series of watching movies about female blonde women or just blonde women with existential crisis, right?
Yeah.
It is kind
I
of the
think-
ultimate movie about a blonde woman having an existential crisis.
And we're gonna be multicultural and inclusive and diverse because next week we're gonna do Black women with identity crisis. We're
There you
gonna
go.
do
Yeah.
that Spike Lee movie.
What should we do after that? What's we do on the next Friday or whatever?
I don't know. You had named a few. You said
I
you had a
named it.
list.
I had a list and it's written. It's down here somewhere. But I
have a
mentioned them.
list too.
I can always go back and listen to streaming. If I can't remember. If I can't find my list.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I should have put my list to my phone, but I still have this bad habit of writing my list down in actual paper notebooks like a freaking Neanderthal, you know. So and I lose those notebooks rather easily. My brain fog keeps me from remembering where anything is. It's amazing I haven't lost my keys and my wallet and everything permanently. It's 1,000 times, but I've managed to hold on to those just because I have a man purse that I keep everything in, and so like when I finish using something, I put it down in my man purse bag, you know, and that way it keeps it. That's why I know where everything is all the time. That's the only reason I know where anything is. So I keep my phones, and my wallet, and my keys into like this bag that I have. I have this thing that I carry around with me, and you know, it's not like a purse, a womanly purse, but you know, I have a bag it's like a messenger bag I carry around with me. But I don't keep my notebook in there, so I don't know where it is right now. But but yeah, I don't know. Jerry Maguire was a good one. That was one I know. I
Yeah.
mentioned.
Okay. Yes. You're right. So maybe I should start a list. I haven't seen that one in a while.
I mostly just because like it was one we mentioned about like and Last Temptation of Christ was the one I mentioned last night. Just like those are two movies that whenever I was going through my list of like I was looking at positive male role models in movies, those are the two movies that I felt like that I found the most positive qualities in. So I think it's a good thing since we do talk about men's mental health and stuff a lot. I think it's good. I do like the. I think that like I don't know. That's one thing about the Barbie movie. I can't tell if they thought they're portraying Ken as sympathetic as they did. I can't tell because I feel like they try to make him
I
into a
actually
villain.
didn't find him all that sympathetic.
Really?
And I was all ready to side with the men. Yeah, I loved when he went into the world and discovered the like masculinity.
Mhm.
I like that part. And then at the end, when he got set on the hero's journey, he had his crisis of positive disintegration, and he got set on the hero's journey. Like you're not Barbie. You have to find out who you are on your own without all of this external stuff. And so I like that part of it. But outside of those two moments, I really didn't find him that sympathetic.
Because I mean, he's basically the id of a 8-year-old boy. Is like that.
I mean, he had no depth. There was nothing like there was no psychology to him that I could relate to.
It's just funny mostly.
I
It's mostly
found him
comic relief.
just a trite character, like a plot device.
And comic relief, and he's also, but I think so to me, there's something very innocent, naive about him. I think that like the naivety of him is supposed to be like because like it doesn't seem it's not very clear. Like it's like it makes it like on one hand it says how like he came back and brainwashed everyone, but it doesn't seem like he did anything to brainwash anybody. So like just like he just came back and talked to people about he just told people what he learned in the real world, and like they just like all became instantly hypnotized by it. I don't but everyone's really happy. That's the other thing.
But
like
the Barbies did the same thing. Like when they like they
deprogrammed everybody.
Yeah, they did the same thing. They talked to the Barbies and they had this epiphany, and all of a sudden they were back on the side of the matriarchy.
Right, which makes it seem like the Barbies are just very programmable, doesn't it?
it's ideology either way.
Right, yeah. They're all operating off ideology on one hand, and that's an interesting idea.
And whoever can make the most persuasive case, but then the men all are, I guess, vulnerable to Ken's ideology, and the women are all vulnerable to the Barbie's ideology for whatever reason. So it's like some ideologies speak to certain natures more than other ideologies.
Well, I mean, but they were all like taken by it whenever Ken first came back with it. They were all seemed really happy. They said they were brainwashed, but they seemed really happy in that state. They were all like they all seemed very aware of the fact that they used to be running things, and now they were just like getting people beers, but they were really happy about it. They said one of them says it's like a spa day for my brain every day or something like that. And they don't seem upset about it. So it's really strange that the reaction from the reaction from stereotypical Barbie is that like, oh no, they've all been horrifically brainwashed, but it doesn't seem like that's really true. But yeah, I know it's like like Barbie Land's a paradise before. Before Ken does this, it's a paradise afterwards, and it's a paradise after they reprogram everybody. So. But yeah, I know it's like it was like Barbie Land's a paradise before.
Turn the YouTube off if you have it on.
Paradise afterwards, and it's a paradise after they reprogram everybody.
Can you hear it?
But yeah, I know it's like it was like Barbie Land's a paradise before.
Close the
Turn the
YouTube
off if you have it on. Paradise afterwards, and it's a paradise after they reprogram.
Okay. Can you hear
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Hi, how's it going?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Hello?
Can you not hear us without the YouTube thing on? I wonder.
That's so weird. Why would he not be able to hear us?
Maybe does he if he doesn't know how to go into the audio and to go to settings, you go to audio and you have to like set the speaker output. Maybe it depends. Like I can't, which is something I can't do in Firefox. You can only do that in Chrome. So maybe he needs to use Chrome. My defaults are all right though, so I don't need to change it in Firefox. But yeah, you just have to go to settings, man. You go to I don't know if you can hear us, but.
Yeah, we can hear you. You just
we
can't
can hear you. Okay, well, it seems like he's found the settings thing because he's playing with the image thing that like you can switch it to just to turn the camera off and everything like from there. So maybe that's what maybe just hit stop cam or something. I don't know. I like the pink Satan badge there. There.
Oh yeah. Well,
it's very appropriate. Yeah, I like it. That's a cool one anyway. I like that one.
There's a B movie called Vegas in Space.
I've not seen that.
Little drag queen city on another planet, and it was filmed entirely in. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Alan?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I know. It's
That was awful.
Yeah, I know. I hate the sound of my voice. I was kidding.
And anyway, it reminded me of this Vegas in Space movie.
Vegas in Space movie.
Yeah,
I haven't think I've heard of that one before.
City full of drag queens instead of full of Barbies, and it was filmed entirely in. I think it was made in San Francisco. It was filmed entirely in these drag queens' apartments, and the sets are for a B movie. They're very impressive.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one before, and I thought I knew most of the really weird B movies. But
if you haven't, we should put that one.
Do that one.
I mean, it's so bad. It's. I don't even want to say it's good, but it's so bad that it's.
Oh, it's a trauma film. Okay, trauma film.
Yeah, it's trauma.
Okay. Yeah, trauma has got a weird. Sorry, the echoes back.
Can you guys hear me right now? This is Alan.
I can hear you.
Awesome. I can't see you anymore, but I can hear you guys now.
Okay. The only problem is that we hear the echo.
Okay, I'll go into my settings and turn off the echo.
Okay.
Cancellation.
Turn on echo.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think we got it.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
All right.
So you can't see us, but you can hear us?
Okay, no, you cannot hear us again?
I can
You
hear
can't see. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you fine. That's fine. I just want to make sure you could actually understand what we could. We were
All
talking
right,
back to.
Chris. Sorry, I can hear Chris, but not Jeff.
You can't
Okay,
hear
try-
me.
Can't hear Jeff.
No.
Where
You
are you?
cannot hear me.
Where am I?
I mean, are you in StreamYard? Are you in StreamYard? Right,
Oh,
you're in
yeah.
StreamYard, right?
I'm on StreamYard, and it won't play. It doesn't play the screen when I push play, but I hear you. I can
What-
hear.
What do you
Chris.
mean
I
when
can
you
hear
push? When
Yeah,
push
because like
play?
you should when you go into the studio, it should automatically play. There should be no play button in StreamYard.
I see the three, visitors. Gen X Jeff has a black screen. You do, and then I do, and then they're on a screen that has a play button in the middle. And when I push it, nothing happens.
That's
Huh.
weird. What?
That is weird.
Oh, so it must be a
Oh.
browser setting you have that
What browser
doesn't
are you using?
automatically play the video.
Brave.
Right, I've never heard of that one before. Have you just tried Chrome? Because Chrome's the best straight. I found I don't like Chrome, but I use Chrome for this usually.
Oh well.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'll try on Firefox.
Firefox, yeah, that's what I'm using. I'm using Firefox right now because it works. It just takes up less memory, and like my computer will run out of memory if I use Chrome. But Chrome works better than anything else does usually for StreamYard, because it actually all the settings and everything will work on StreamYard with Chrome, but they won't with Firefox. Firefox will gray out most of the settings, but try Firefox and see if you can get on here with that.
All right. Sorry about this. Okay.
It's not a problem, guy. I mean, like we're here. We're not going anywhere. It's all right.
All right. Well, I can hear you, and you're part of the conversation.
Right, sure. Okay, yeah, just try Firefox real fast, see if we can't get this working, because it's gonna be kind of hard to do this if you can't hear Jeff. So,
Yeah, I can hear him on YouTube, but then you
easier.
guys get the echo, I think.
yeah, we can. Yeah, and that's
And there's a delay.
and the delay too. So it says so as we're talking, we hear the echo playing back from YouTube, and it just drowns everything out. So
Right. Okay. All right. So I'm doing my settings here on Firefox. Okay. Speaker doesn't want. Oh no. Okay. Doesn't want to. Nothing. Yeah. Grayed out as my speakers. Okay. Well, let me
And you
try
might have
to
to
enter and see what
leave-
happens.
Leave this
Oh, I've got to
with
create my name.
the access here.
yeah, he's gonna have to leave the other one in order to get to come into the studio. It's gonna bring a second into the studio though.
The studio though.
Well,
close
now
it
I,
out.
Yeah, close out the first one.
all right. I did.
All right. All right.
Can you hear me now?
hear me now?
I can hear you both. Yeah. And my,
Can you
my
see
camera
us?
isn't working. Yeah, I can see you. I can hear you. Cool.
We have the
Where's
echo
the
still.
echo?
Oh, all right. Let me
You
close
have a
my other
headset?
browser. I'm going to close my other browser completely.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see. You still have the echo.
I don't know. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there.
Audio, echo cancel, reduce background noise. Browser not supported. Okay.
Yeah, so I said Firefox won't support most of that.
I can adjust my mic volume down. Let's see. What if I try another? Go try another output speaker, and see if that fixes that.
Try it. Yeah.
Try it.
I don't have it turned on.
Do you have a headset?
You have a headset?
No.
Like earbuds, anything?
Anything?
Probably somewhat. Let me try with this Shrapnel Skull Candy speaker and see
Okay.
if that works.
Okay.
So it won't be the internal microphone. All right. Can y'all say something?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want us
What
to
do you want
say?
us to say?
Barbie,
Okay, I just
Barbie.
wanted-
Come on, Barbie.
Come on, Barbie. Let's
Yeah, I'm trying to get my speaker to work. Oh, okay. Yeah, don't have YouTube on.
Okay.
I can
Okay.
hear you all. Is the
There's
echo
still
still there?
something.
There's still something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, there's just an echo with like a 1 second delay.
1 second delay.
I don't have YouTube on. Oh, wait, it came back on. You're right. It came on my other browser. Okay. How about now?
Let's see.
Yeah.
So there-
Still
Yeah,
echo.
still echo.
All right. Well, Y'all can tell me then if you want me just to give up.
No, man. Do you have Chrome?
Do you have Chrome?
No, I don't.
If you just download Chrome real fast, it
No.
will work.
It will work.
Thank you, but I'm not gonna.
He's
Okay.
gonna use Chrome.
Okay.
I understand.
I understand.
But let's see. Automatically adjust mic volume. I can try that.
Sure, try it.
About the
Sure,
only-
try it.
The only button it gives me. I have echo cancellation on. Now I have it off.
Oh, it is on.
Oh, it is on.
Is that better?
The problem isn't the echo from you; it's our echo.
Our echo.
It's you're hearing what I hear from the speaker.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
your microphone is
Microphone
picking
is
up
picking up
us.
us.
Okay. I guess I can try to turn the volume down. Is that better?
Let's see.
Let me see. Echo.
Echo.
No, it's
No,
still
it's
echo.
Echo.
Over there? All right. Well, if that's about the best I can do, I think. So if it's too bad, let me know. I'll just watch.
You don't have any
earbuds
earbuds or
or
headphones?
Okay, y'all keep talking, and I will go look in a drawer, and I'll get back to you.
All right.
All
right.
Okay.
I will turn the volume down all the way.
Okay.
Oh, it won't mute.
Oh, I can mute.
I
you.
can mute you.
Oh, okay. I have it. Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Well,
Is that?
I just
is that
muted
I just muted you. Yep.
Okay,
There's
you
still
can-
an echo.
Still an echo.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it then.
All right.
Let's see.
All right.
Don't know how. On the other one, I could. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to close it and then come back to this when I find the little things there.
All right.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay. No problem.
What are we talking about?
Barbie, I guess. We had a total of we had 3 other people besides us in there. Like, what was Emerald
Yeah,
not
there were
gonna
5 of them.
come by?
I don't know. I let her know we were here.
Okay.
So I had to reset the router in order to stream, and so we were in the middle of a conversation, and everything got shut off, and I haven't been able to communicate with her since. I sent her a message.
Oh, okay. That sucks. Anyway, maybe she went to bed or something. Yeah, Vegas in Space looks interesting. Trauma films have I went through a phase when I watched a lot of trauma films. I don't think I ever saw this one, but I saw a lot of different trauma films. It's it's got drag legends and stuff like that in it. Yeah, I can't remember much about many of the trauma films I've seen, but I've seen a bunch of them. I remember there's one that was like you ever see the one that was like the killer condom? That one always that one stuck with me for some reason.
No, I
It
never
was literally like a living carnivorous condom that ate guys' dicks off, and it was like it was like this fake noir satire. It was like trying to be. It was like this hard boiled detective guy that was trying to solve these crimes. Like all these guys get their dicks bitten off and stuff. It was is as stupid as every bit stupid as it sounds. But yeah, I remember that's the only ones that really stuck in my mind. Besides, of course, the Toxic Avenger series, and I think there's a couple others I've seen that were pretty good. They have some of them.
Barbie, is the Barbie movie still the weirdest movie you've ever seen?
It's one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen in terms of like what I can't because I couldn't really pinpoint what it was going for. But yeah, but it's weird because it's a big budget, like such a well-made movie too. It's so well crafted, like the set work, the shots, the cinematography in the movie is all on point. The performances are all pretty much on point. I mean, Will Ferrell's a little like iffy in some ways. I'm not really sure like what his tone seems to clash the rest of the movie, but like for the most part, like I mean, everything in the movie is like everyone's operating at a very high level, but for it to be so like it, but like I said, like I mean, your perspective, I really do appreciate that perspective of you have of seeing it as being kind of maybe intentionally contradictory, and that's something I hadn't really considered. I was just thinking of it as like 3 different movies. It seemed like 3 different visions kind of got like sat on top of each other and kind of cut together into one thing. But like it very well may be like there's more intent behind the result there than I gave it credit for.
At least 3, and I don't know. I don't want to claim intent more like necessarily, but I'm just saying I think it was going for anything and everything it could possibly go for. I think they just tried to cram make it say everything all at once.
Right. Because like I mean, because like, if the movie was per se, let's say it was trying to give like a traditional, more traditional mainstream feminist, feminist interpretation type take. If that's the case, then it fails. And if it's trying to be an anti woke kind of like anti or like kind of thing, making more about actual equality between men and women, it kind of fails. And if it's trying to be like a corporate toy chilling movie, then it fails. So I mean, but at the same time, it also succeeds at all three of those things, depending on how you see it. It doesn't succeed at all of them at the same time or fail at them all at the same time. It just kind of like it's not cohesive, but I like it for that for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's hey Emerald, you can come on if you want. The link should be in the YouTube chat. I think it's trying to subvert everything, every overt statement. I think it's trying to subvert. I don't think it's trying to say anything about anything, and I think it's trying to take everything that people do think it might be trying to say and subverting. It's subverting the feminist narrative. It's subverting the patriarchal narrative. It's subverting the woke narrative. It's subverting the corporate narrative. Like everything that it touches, it subverts.
Yeah, I can see that. Because like
in a really playful, like non-controversial, non-politicized way.
No,
It's
I totally see that.
It's the art of irony. This is like one of the best. Irony and satire are very related genres. This is one of the best satires or ironies, ironic comedies that I've seen.
I think it's definitely a satire, that's for sure. Like there's no way it's not satire.
Satire. Can you hear me?
Yes, satire.
Yeah. Oh, there's an echo.
There's still an echo?
Yeah. You have headphones on?
I have my headphones in.
Go into if you go in the settings and set your output strictly to your headphones, and then make sure if you're in Windows. I don't know if you're in Windows or not.
Mac. I mean, I'm
in Linux or something.
Yeah. Now I put the mic to shrapnel. Does that make any difference?
Let's see.
Let's see. Echo.
I didn't hear an echo. Yeah, so it seems like they fixed it.
Echo. Can you still hear us?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great.
Awesome.
Like we're on.
All right.
So I am very eager to get your.
Yeah, I want to hear your
take. Bits and pieces of what you guys were saying. I mean, we got to understand, like the director, hired by Mattel to do this promotional product was Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
Whose other? Did y'all talk about that already?
I mentioned some about how her history of like the other movies she's done. I kind of went through a filmography real fast and
not the Mattel angle at all.
Not Mattel. I don't know anything about Mattel angle. I don't know anything about that. All I know is I just know about her as a director. Like she did Little Women, she did Lady Bird, and I like both those movies. And I was also saying that I was just a big fan of her voice work in China, Illinois, and that's where I stopped.
She did Lady Bird. I didn't see those, but I saw the Oscars awards and everything, and I got the gist. Yep. But yeah, she's quite intellectual, and for some reason, when Mattel approached, Margot Robbie and her husband to produce this, they all got together and chose Greta Gerwig. So we have to look at it like a new iteration, a new symbol, a new way of looking at Barbie. And I have to say, for me, even though I'm saying that right now, the film had very little to do with Barbie or Barbie's history. That was just back burner. Like I hate to, really say this, but for most Mattel products, when they bring in new teams, new people, they don't research the history. They don't consult historians or experts. They lost all of their archives. They sold them all in the 80s, everything they had to one person. They didn't think it was worth keeping or learning about. It's a new product is how we should look at it. And, I think they try to make it really deep, and it had my head swimming. It was funny. I laughed like 4 times out loud, and I enjoyed it. And I know it must have cost a lot of money to make.
But as far as Barbie, I don't think that Margot Robbie looks like any of the Barbies I've ever seen. Now they did make a new face mold to make dolls for the movie that sort of looks like her, but it's the first time they've made a character face for Barbie off a real human for Barbie. And so, like all the other character dolls, they try to make look like a real human. There's just, it's not pretty. Like the jaw is too big. It's not Barbie looking.
Right.
So they try to force that, and they try to force things in the movie. But overall, it was enjoyable. I think it's a start. They're going to have several movies. I think that's why they chose so few characters from Barbie's line of toys. And they hit these jokes over and over. I think when little girls or boys play with Barbie, they don't name them all Barbie. They give them different names.
Right.
And when Mattel presents its line, even if there's more than one Barbie, they're still presented as like, this is going to be your Barbie you take home, and this is your character for Barbie, and then there's still all these other characters with other names. So, and as far as where they were taking us with the feminist stuff, I think they just wanted to make Barbie relatable to the conversation that's going on right now in the bigger culture of America.
Yeah, without taking any particular stance on any of it.
They kept that neutral like they do with Barbie. They were so careful to keep Barbie as neutral as possible. The other characters, they had personalities. They had, they had their quirks and stuff. But Barbie was always the doll that the child was supposed to identify with and could interpret as they wanted and put themselves into, And so this is really the most concrete personality of Barbie we've ever seen in history.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly I remember my sisters watching some of the Barbie cartoons growing up, and it seemed like she was certainly a lot more cardboard of a personality, and like a lot of even like the various Barbie movies and everything that they had, like the cartoon ones growing up. So, I mean,
when you say growing up, do you mean like 10 years ago?
I mean, like, well, my sisters were. I mean, I'm 42, so I mean, like 20 years ago. 20, 25 years ago. Yeah, there were some movies in the 80s and 90s.
It seems to me like there wasn't anything until about 10 years ago. My niece was watching all of those first cartoons of Barbie.
I know I've seen a couple, but I mean, I don't. I can't say what.
Maybe it was something else that was similar to Barbie.
It may have been. It may have been. I mean, I can't say that. I can't say I was exactly a stereotypical boy, but I didn't play with the Barbies much. I had my GI Joes. My sister had Barbie. I was that kind of thing. So I had three sisters.
I had lots of GI Joes, and I had inherited the older ones from the '60s, which I thought were really cool. But I only had little girls around me when I grew up, and they all had Barbie. And
sure.
I was like, this looks like the doll sitting, next to the pool on the Love Boat that everybody wanted to be. Like when you go on the Love Boat in the beginning, and there'd be that woman sitting by the pool who everyone was just looking at, who's absorbing all of the attention of the whole deck of the boat. And so that, to me, that was like, oh wow, that is glamorous. That's really exciting. So that, I think I would definitely like Barbie more than G.I. Joe.
That's fine. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that. But yeah, I just I was, I guess in that sense I was more of a stereotypical boy, and I just didn't really, I kind of like my sister that was close in age to me was 4 years younger than me. So it was like there was like enough of a gap between us where like we weren't necessarily like best friends growing up. So didn't really have like it was like those were girls' toys and stuff like that. I didn't really take it. I didn't go into the Barbie movie expecting very much at all, and I was very impressed with what was firstly put on the screen. I think they put a lot of work into it, certainly.
Yeah. Did you think that the image of women and fashion and life that the doll was communicating to your sister was part of the issue of the movie, like trying to deal with the negative image that Barbie has of what it told little girls they they should, you know, emulate.
I never saw my sisters really like taking Barbies all that seriously, to be honest. Like they played with them when they were little, and they stopped playing with them when they got older. And like I don't think it impacted them that much, to be perfectly honest. But
Oh,
I'd have to ask them. I'd have to ask them about that. Really, you know.
okay, because as a Barbie collector, I get pushback, you know, from women, you know, like, oh, that doll ruined me, you know, and it just,
It takes more than a doll. There's something going on with it. Like a doll doesn't say anything to anybody. There's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, because like GI Joe didn't affect my psychology either. So they're all like war guys that like have guns and stuff, and like I didn't grow up like liking guns or anything either. So I mean, I don't know. I just because of my family.
what about,
Because if it wouldn't be
what about-
Barbie, it'd be something else that came along and influenced them the same way.
Yeah.
but let's take boy toys, like, you know, I had GI Joe, I had Stretch Armstrong,
Oh, I had the monster.
and
Monster
you know, their physiques were like super. They were like Bufferino, and I thought, like, when I grow up, I'm just going to sprout all these muscles and have huge shoulders, and you know, and I didn't.
You thought that from your toy, because you had
Well,
a toy like that.
The image of the man, even my Johnny West dolls from the 60s that I had, you know, been passed down to me, they had like muscles and veins all over their bodies, you know, and it was like the image of masculinity.
I never took my cue from toy. Like I never looked
Neither
at a
did I.
toy. That's what I'm supposed to be when I grow up.
Yeah, neither did
Of course,
I.
I
always,
thought it was dinosaurs mostly.
I was always really good at separating like the toy fiction from reality type thing. But I mean, like, I don't think there's anything wrong if you didn't, you know, if like you took it like that. I think that's kind of like it seems like that's kind of the intention of dolls to some degree, is like to create like some sort of like idealized like thing to like try to like grow into or something like that. But I mean, it just didn't affect me that way. It doesn't mean it doesn't affect some people that way. It doesn't mean that some of those women probably didn't have that resentment about Barbie until they got older and they started looking back and being like, oh, it was Barbie that ruined me. You know, I think that's probably the case with a lot of those women. But at the same time, and maybe it did. Maybe they really did expect that of themselves whenever they're little girls. I don't see that in my sisters, but I mean, doesn't mean that it doesn't happen to somebody.
But if they expected that, if they got anything, if they took the Barbie is just a doll. It's just a piece of plastic. It doesn't speak at all. It's nonverbal. So if they got any kind of verbal messaging from this doll, that was self-generated.
Yeah, I mean,
The
I
doll
agree.
wasn't telling them any of this.
I know the doll didn't.
They were using the Barbie as kind of like a totem or an avatar to tell themselves a story about.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Now, what do you think, Emerald? I want to hear your take.
Yeah, this is your second time seeing it, right?
Third time.
Third time. Okay. Cool. Cool. You're the
Well,
expert here. Then.
You are our in-house expert.
I'm not an expert. Well, I saw it like the first day it came out. Then, as Jeff knows, I was on a terrible first date, so I saw it a second time with a guy that was questioning his sexuality during the movie.
That's great.
You remember
That's
that,
amazing.
Jeff, right? He was like, I don't think I'm into women afterwards. Like, Ken was hot. And I'm like, wow, okay.
That's
So, this is like my first time seeing it without all that chaos and drama.
sure. Yeah, without all that around. Yeah, I get that. Was the connection quality okay for you guys? I know Jeff was in some trouble, said it was blurry and stuff. Did it look okay for me? Was it my upload speed? Maybe I'm just wondering if that was a.
It was fine.
issue.
I think it was my connection.
Okay, I just want to know.
It's been flipping out all
It
night.
was blurry in the beginning, and it would slow down at points and pause for me, and then start back up, and then it would be really clear and like, you know, really good quality for a while, and then it would go back to blurry.
Yeah, I just know. I mean, it probably, because since it just streams the screen, it's probably not the upload speed. Then if it was fine for her, so probably just a download speed issue. Anyway, I just want to know for future, like, so that because like I know the other day when we watched Nurse Betty, I had a lot of issues with that too. So I just didn't know if it was something that happened off on Zoom or if that was a. So anyway, yeah, no. So anyway, so let's hear what you. I want to hear what you had to say of like seeing it the third time without all the baggage attached to it.
I mean, it's still widely like entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I kind of was doing it the same way Jeff was describing. Like, I was looking at almost from, like, a perspective like the aesthetics, and like it just felt like a Barbie movie. Like, growing up, I'd watch a lot of, like, the cartoon Barbie movies, so it felt like, I don't know, it had that feeling to it. Like, it was just a movie to go into and like just have fun, I guess, and not look too deeply into it. But I do get like the desire to like analyze it and kind of dissect it. But I think if you do that, then it like loses its meaning to some extent, because then it's like,
Because its meaning is not
Fair
because there's
enough.
like
no meaning.
I don't know, it's like open to interpretation.
Yeah, I think it deconstructs itself, and I think that you can go in there just for the aesthetics to enjoy it. But if you do want to look for some deeper meaning, it provides it to you, but on its own terms. It's not going to give you what you're looking for. It's going to deconstruct and subvert that the whole way. But it is there, and it does provide it. It just doesn't allow you easy access to any simple narrative.
It doesn't give you time to think about when they say things like the cognitive distance of the pain of the patriarchy is what's going to release us from the female brainwashing.
White savior Barbie.
Yeah, White Savior Barbie. Yeah. I mean, I thought that like her speech that she gives, like the mother from the real world, her speech is not the worst thing I've ever heard. It's not the most. But at the same time, most of the things she says also apply to men. So like, it's just like I don't see how it's like this major feminist.
You talking about the old lady, the creator?
No, the mother. The whole big speech she gives, like that deprograms the Barbies.
America Ferrari.
Yeah, America Ferrera's character, like the way all the contradictions she gives.
Oh,
Most of those you could apply to men just as well as you could women. Those are just things that are just true for human beings.
Yeah, I think that's part of the message too. If there's
right,
one.
yeah,
like
right.
how different really are men and women, because they were just kind of inverses of each other, and they swapped roles and plots, and they were struggling with the same issues but in opposite ways.
Yeah, it really is. It's certainly one of the most fascinating big budget like studio films that's been released that I've seen in like I don't know. I haven't seen a movie released that was a huge hit in theaters, that was released in wide theatrical release, probably in like 5-10 years, that was like this weird. Honestly, that had this much like it means this many quirks in it, this many little like contradictory kind of things in it, which is why it's fascinating to me. I mean, like, it's one thing whenever an indie film comes out, or like a trauma film, like we were talking about before. Like, you see a trauma film and it's weird, that's whatever, it's trauma, But whenever you have a big budget studio film that's meant for a mainstream audience, and it's got this many different like this many contradictions, this many confusing little elements to it, I think that's fascinating. I think it's fascinating how that movie got made. I just and yeah, but I'm glad it got made. I think movies like this are kind of like minor miracles for movies, because like not enough weird stuff comes out. I like movies that make me have to think about what they're trying to do, or if they're trying to do anything. I like movies that make me question what I'm even looking at sometimes. So.
Well, I know that I said it doesn't have much to do with the aesthetic of Barbie, but what you just said does relate to how this film probably came about in the minds of the creators, because they were looking back at how Barbie has represented the ideal young woman, since 1959. And all of that brings up the history of our society. She's a mirror of who we are. She will keep going. That's part of the message too. Like, the people who have designed her clothing, designed her, sculpted her, made her these different representations. Those people are retired, they're dying, they're dead, and the doll has gone on, and the doll represents something still, and the doll's always looking back, like even when they make something new, like Mattel looks back at what they made before, and they often reference what they made before. It'll just be a visual reference. It'll just be the colors, a pattern, a floral, a stripe. They keep examples of some of those, or they've reacquired them, and they bring it back, and they bring back themes like at one point the Mattel security dude reaches down and he says Miss Barbie, and she says no, it's just Barbie. That's because she's not Miss Barbie. Miss Barbie was a 1964 doll, the first one with bendable legs. So there were many references in the film. It's like the story of Mattel is not just the technical evolutions of the doll, but which were huge for the time. There's so many inventions, but the the way that the doll represented the ideal unmarried young woman of her day. Like there's that story going on, and there's all of Mattel's marketing ploys and the things they tried and the things that didn't work. The things like, like the knee in this Barbie is now what is used in fake fingers for humans. That same patent, has been used for prosthetics for humans. And then Ruth Handler, who dreamed up the doll, she made more money from her nearly knee fake breast prostheses for women who had breast cancer than she ever did from working at Mattel. And she did that when she was, she had lost Mattel when she began creating the nearly knee company.
I didn't know that. I didn't know about that. I remember hearing once that Barbie was based on a German sex doll once, but I don't know if that's true. So I mean, I just remember hearing.
Well, it wasn't a sex doll. It was a very Germanic. It's Lily. Her name was Lily. Like a kind of Lily Marlene reference in the early 50s. It was the Bild Zeitung, which is like the daily news, German newspaper that was drawing a cartoon, and the guy was drawing a baby's head, and halfway through they said, no, we don't want a baby for that spot, make it a sexy young woman. So he drew this like very adolescent looking sexy young woman. Like before we had Brigitte Bardot, who was very influential on Barbie, but the first adult woman who did the little girl Lola kind of sexy look was just scandalous. I mean, it just people were horrified by her in the beginning, in the 50s. But she kind of made it accessible to our culture today. And before Brigitte Bardot, we had Lily. So Lily was in two sizes, and the larger size was the 12-inch or 11.5-inch Barbie size. And she came like as a gag gift that men could buy for each other, or women could buy for men, or men could buy for women. And it was for adults, it wasn't for children. The clothes were well made. It's a beautiful doll, and she was like a pinup, I mean, she really, it was like take Barbie and make her super vixen-y sexy. And she was a gold digger. She was her cartoon continued in the paper, and she was always finding ways to get what she wanted by using her looks, So, she knew what she had, and she knew how to get where she wanted to go. And she's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous doll. It's a gorgeous cartoon. And Barbie is a cartoon herself. Barbie is like a 3D cartoon come to life of, what they wanted in 58 and 59 when they were developing the doll was a fashion doll. Not the first fashion doll, because there were throughout history fashion dolls, but how do I explain this? A sexy doll, a truly sexy doll for kids. So they had psychologists come in to tell them, like, we're gonna like call the outfits like nighty negligee because it sounds naughty, and therefore the adult parent will say, no, you cannot have that doll, and then the kid would beg for it, and the parents would give in. And why would the parents give in? According to psychologists, they brought in families and watched them in these like mirrored rooms, window mirror rooms where they could observe observation rooms. What's going to happen, and then eventually the parent says, like, well, this will teach my daughter to get a rich man. This will teach my daughter to do well in society because she will be coquettish. She will dress herself up. She'll put on eyeliner. She'll do what it takes to make it in the world. So I'm going to go ahead and buy this for my daughter because she wants it so bad.
Can I show him the first Barbie that you sent me?
Oh, sure. I'd rather not. Let me. You can, Jeff. You can.
Or the second? You sent two. There's the very first Barbie with the dark hair, and then there's the little collection of three of them. And to me, they're scary. They're some of the creepiest dolls I've ever seen. But these are the original Barbies, correct?
59, yeah. The brunette is an early example.
This is the earliest one.
Yeah, that was what hit Toy Fair in March of '59.
This does not look like a thing for children, or if it does, it looks like a thing for children in a horror movie.
Well,
Yeah, I think I've seen a picture of that before.
It was very beautiful at the time.
I don't know. And then there's, hang on, there's
was
these.
high
This
fashion.
is also the original, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
these
seen
are-
that before.
These are
These are-
scary dolls to me. There's nothing attractive about this to me that would draw a kid to it.
Well, it
That
was
wasn't
supposed to
disturbed.
be, hard-edged, high fashion from Paris. And
How old is she supposed to be here?
17.
Oh my
17.
god. That
But,
makes it even
yeah.
more creepy to me.
It's a little
The
creepy.
youth quake hadn't happened yet for culture and fashion. It wasn't about youth at that time. Women really, from 30 to 50 years old were considered just right. Like that's what young women tried to look like. They wanted to look more mature. And that wasn't reversed until the youth quake happened because the baby boomers started to come of age, 62, 63, they started to take over. By 64, there was no stopping them, and so by 65, we have everything change. And by 66, you could take that Barbie and trade it in for the new Barbie who looked like a teen with a new sculpt face. New hair in the face, tinker vinyl, everything is, young, youthful. And then, my friends who were in fashion at that time, women, they said all of a sudden, not only were we allowed to wear pants and allowed to wear blue jeans for the first time in public or at work or at school, but we had to because we had to look young. There was no choice about it. Like, you have to look young now, and you have to try to look like your teenage daughter. And they really resented that.
Wow.
So that '59 Barbie, she is harsh, but the fashion space was harsh then. It was all painted to hell. And then by '60, Mattel changed it. They softened her up. So by early 1960, they got rid of that face. They just repainted, but they gave her blue eyes instead of those crazy black and white irises. And they softened her eyebrows, like just a rounded arch. And, that kind of helped the doll to gain in popularity.
And that's the Barbie we get in the movie. More or less.
I missed the very beginning. I'm sorry. I think when she's in the black and white swimsuit, I've seen that image in the very beginning. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the very beginning of the movie. Yeah.
Okay.
The very beginning of it is like it's basically a parody of 2001: A Space Odyssey with the monkeys and the
Kubrick.
obelisk. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. It's like a satirical parody of that.
Yeah.
They all these girls are playing like in like a very similar type thing to the monkeys in 2001, and then suddenly this the giant swimsuit Barbie, the black and white swimsuit Barbie appears, like standing amongst them, and like they start smashing their dolls and stuff, and that's the.
Okay. Yeah. So that Barbie really is kind of the first Barbie because the earliest ones, like the ones you saw there, they're really rare. They didn't do very well at first. It took a while for it to catch on. So by '60 and '61, then that's when they just started having to pump them out, and then there was just Barbies everywhere. And that black and white bathing suit lasted until '61.
Yeah, I guess to say I didn't know much of the history of it, so.
It's a great history because it tells it's like our ideal of the feminine beauty, the ideal of what is in, what is hot, what is a woman supposed to be?
What is a woman?
And what is a woman? Yeah.
And who is Midge's baby daddy?
I cannot, or Alan maybe, I guess.
Yeah, they brought back Alan.
Is there a canon for that?
Alan and Midge got married in the early '90s.
Oh, really?
I want to know their story now because
there's a whole wedding set, with several dolls. But Alan, when he came back, he had 2 L's in his name. So the No, I'm sorry, he had one L in his name. And you could even buy the groom doll separate. And his box said A-L-A-N. The very first one I think reference from 63 in the film, he has two L's in his name. So they were kind of right in saying that he never had another iteration. But he did have two, he had the same head the whole time in the 60s, but in 65, he got bendable knees. He got rubbery legs that were bendable. So there were actually two versions of Alan.
Okay. I didn't know that either. I didn't even know about Alan's existence until this movie. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
you know, I look
Alan,
at
you
things like
should
he.
be you should consult on the next movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
I
serious.
don't know what Mattel's about nowadays. I've really lost track. You know, now it's just it's confusing to collectors or to collectors like me. You know, who are used to just be into the first 10 years. Now I'm kind of expanding into the 70s and things I remember from my childhood in the 80s. But what they're doing now with the doll, it's really confusing to me. You know, I the last time I went to the toy aisle, you know, because Toys R Us is gone, I went to like Walmart, and like I couldn't find a blonde Barbie who didn't have some horrible defect, like she wasn't like the only one I found was in a wheelchair, and then the other ones, well, there were like there's like the petite who's too short, like for what we're used to as a collector, and then there's the curvy one who's plump, you know, and then there's a tall one, she's like way too tall, and then they come in all different colors, and they don't even have a name on the box anymore. It doesn't say if it's Barbie or her friend, or if she has a name, or if there's a theme. It doesn't say anything, and that's really new. So for me, I don't know how to follow the story anymore.
I did see. I looked at it because I was curious, like because there's an overweight Barbie in the movie, obviously a rather large woman that's playing one of the Barbies, and
Yeah.
I was like, is there a Barbie that's that big? And there isn't. It's like there's a curvier one, but no,
Well,
she just kind of looks like an average woman. She doesn't look like the woman in the movie, which is she's
the
kind of
only
obese.
the only doll like that, and you know, and they made a character doll of Rosie O'Donnell
Right. Okay.
in the '90s.
They
That's the
did
only
really.
doll I
They did that.
know with the body almost that big.
I think even Rosie O'Donnell was in better shape than this woman. I mean, she seems like a
Yeah.
nice person and everything, but God, that woman's obese. Though she does not look like she's going to live very long. I hate to see that. I mean, and this is coming from life. I've had weight problems myself. I'm not a judgmental person when it comes to that sort of thing, but
Yeah.
it's just like
Well,
I don't see that how that's healthy image for anybody. I don't know. I think it's a little weird to have, especially since there's not a Barbie that's analogous to her. I think it's weird, you know.
but the way
Like,
that the
why is she
designers,
there?
the corporate and the designer people at Mattel right now, the way they're thinking, I believe, is there are many children like that, and we want them to have their own image.
So, you think they're going to put out a Barbie that looks like that then?
Well, at least on the
They are
screen,
now.
they're at least on the screen. That's probably why they wanted to be inclusive in that way.
Body
I don't think there's
positivity, Barbie.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with like the one they put out in it's like 2000. I don't remember, it was 2006 or something like that. The curvy Barbie. I think there's anything wrong. She's not really that fat or anything. She's just
Right.
she has some curves. She looks more like an average woman, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But I think it gets a little weird whenever like you have this actress in the movie who, I mean, she just looks unhealthy. I don't know. She looks like a nice person. I don't think there's anything wrong with her as a person. I'm just saying, but she looks like she would need to lose weight for health reasons, not because there's anything wrong with her as a person. I just think that it just seems a little weird. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of those political things. There's also, I did. My wife thought the Barbie that distracts Ken at the one point. My wife thought that she was trans. Did you guys get
She
that
is.
from
There
it?
is a trans Barbie.
Is it a trans Barbie? Okay,
The
I didn't
one,
know.
yeah, the one where Key's working on the car. That is a trans.
Yeah, I didn't.
wasn't
I didn't
sure.
catch it.
Yeah, Harry Neff or something like that.
Okay,
The Adam's apple in one scene.
I didn't notice it. I don't look for this sort of thing.
They seem, man, like I can just tell that wasn't a feminine person. And I'm glad they showed. We used to. My sister used to have the Booby Grove Barbie, where you twist her arm. And I would try to explain that to people. Like, there's a Barbie, and you used to twist her arm, and they act like it was insane. Like they're like, no, there was no way there was a toy. And you twist it around and I'm like, yes, there is. Look it up on the internet. There was a real Barbie. We used to have one. So it was really
It's different.
validating to see her in the movie.
I have a bone to pick with the movie about that because they showed a completely new concept. They showed a doll that had small developed breasts, so they got really big breasts. But the doll that you're talking about is an adolescent who is prepubescent, and she goes through puberty and sprouts very small breasts, and her torso elongates as she grows taller.
Yes, I remember that.
Now there were two. There was growing up Skipper and growing up Ginger, her friend. So
Wow,
Ginger
okay.
was the brunette, and growing up Skipper was the blonde. And it was to teach little girls, like, this is going to happen to you. You're going to get taller, and you're going to develop breasts.
Well,
That was the
now
whole
they don't have to if they don't want to.
Well, this was
Puberty
1974.
is optional.
Yeah.
Do
well,
they have
I mean,
any drag queen
interesting.
Barbies or trans Barbies?
Not that I know of. No.
No, yeah, I looked up just to see like there weren't any. Which I didn't have a problem with the trans actors playing the Barbie in the movie. I don't have a problem with that at all. I just couldn't tell. I just didn't know if that really was. My wife just mentioned that, and I was like, I wanted to see what you guys thought. That's all. That's the only reason I mentioned that part.
Yeah, I knew there was I had read somewhere there was like a tweet on it or something, so I knew there was a trans.
I would
Barbie
say
somewhere in the movie.
this not the deep voice, but the way the person spoke kind of gave it away for me. I mean, I had seen something about the actresses in the film, and we just mentioned the person as an actor, you know, and showed, you know, like photos of her and other roles, and didn't mention if the person was trans.
I don't know. So like I've known a lot of women that have like kind of low registered voices. My wife herself, she doesn't really have like very high voice. So I don't. The voice thing doesn't like tip me off that many times unless it sounds really fake. And the actress shouldn't sound like fake to me. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention to that sort of thing in the movie though. So I mean, I don't know. I didn't think it was. It doesn't really bother me. She passed as far as I could tell. So I mean, I don't care. As long as they're trying to pass, it's not something like not some bearded dude that's like, you know, trying to pass himself as Barbie in the movie. That would bother me, but this didn't bother me.
That's all coming, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming. I just wait for the sequel, right?
and the dolls, like, I'm sure they're gonna have dolls.
Well, you know, there's a line of Mattel dolls who are like neutral, and you can make them into girls or boys.
Oh, there was.
There's
Like,
one set.
How hairstyle?
About
or?
5 years old. It looks like maybe a 14-year-old girl who hasn't developed yet with very short hair, and then it's like I forget the name of the product. It's the set, and you can kind of make it more masculine or more feminine depending on the wig and the clothing that you choose that's in the set. Because one of the main designers at Mattel is a lesbian woman. And so she's pushed some concepts into, you know, places that we've never seen before, which, you know, it's kind of interesting, but it's just so radically different than the Mattel I knew, who was so controlling of Barbie's image when, you know, when like Barbie collecting first sort of took off in the mid 90s, early 90s and the mid 90s, Mattel started to capitalize on all that. And so they started cracking down on anybody who was using the word Barbie because it's, you know, it's copyrighted, it's registered, and
Sure.
so
Trademark, yeah.
So they would tell clubs, you can't, you know, you've been the Barbie club of your, you know, Minnesota, you know, or wherever it is, you know, for 30 years, but you can no longer use the Barbie name. You can't, you know, you can't use it on your stationery. You can't put it on your club newsletter. You have to take it off of your mugs and your T-shirts and your convention and your annual doll sales, you know, event. You can't use the word Barbie at all. They just had really cracked down because they wanted to control Barbie. And then, you know, different people were putting out books for reference, you know, just for collectors, you know, and some of the things were, you know, taking the old Mattel, you know, names for the products, the sets of clothing, and what, you know, how today they sound so weird to us. You know, the people would explain, you know, like this is what it meant back then. But of course, if we look at it with our eyes today, this is what we're going to see, this kitschy image. And some of those images involved, like for Valley of the Dolls, for example, they had, in one book of a major doll dealer, he had used a whole bunch of pills around the dolls because that's what dolls meant back then. There were dolls meant pills, and he had arranged the dolls like a scene from Valley of the Dolls. And so McFell made him remove those pages from his book, so we got books with blank pages.
Interesting. Were Barbies important to you, Emerald, whenever you were growing up? Was that an important thing for you as a child?
I mean, I grew up with them, so kind of. I mean, I had Barbies. They didn't really influence me too much. Like, I would just play with them and dress them up and create, like, different stories for them.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's what I do with G.I. Joes and stuff. So I know. I used to do things like make dioramas out of them and take pictures of them and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I would do that too. Like, do photo shoots of my Barbies.
Yeah, I just think with GI Joes, I just think it was really funny to take the GI Joes and like pose them like they were doing like the last moment of a musical number. I was a weird kid. So, yeah, I was a weird kid. So.
My dad would make me watch horror films, and back then, in the early '70s or late '70s, I wasn't born in the early '70s, the late '70s. There were, so many like fashion films, like The Eyes of Laura Mars, where these beautiful women would be, like butchered or covered in blood or falling out of a building and landing on top of a car, and then there'd be like
Gallo type stuff.
There'd be a slow motion, very fashion, very glamorous, camera move on these dead women. And so I did a lot of that with my dolls. I would pose them just right to get. I would sprinkle ketchup on them and like just love that fashion moment with the whatever it was with the whatever was going on in the '70s. I was really into it.
I mean, I wasn't born until '81, but like I loved the movies from that era though, so I know exactly what you're talking about. The Giallo films, like stuff like Argento and Fulci, and like some of the more American directors too. I mean, I've seen Eyes of Laura Mars. It's a great movie too. So yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There was a fashion moment. Even there was a French fashion photographer, Guy Bourdin, Guy Bourdin, Bourdin, and he was doing that like in the mid '70s. The fashion man. All the girls would have like a trickle of blood coming out the corner of their mouth, and but they were gorgeous.
There's even that movie that's like
weird, demented.
What's that?
I said I'm so glad I'm not the weird, demented one.
What was it? There was a really great '70s horror film from that era that was like about, I can't remember what's called right now though. But it's like this guy, it's like a serial killer, but he kills women mostly, but with the tripod of the camera, so he like films them as he's killing them, and it's really voyeuristic and like kind of like there's a Criterion disc for it. I can't remember what it's called right now.
Oh, but, yeah, I don't know that film, but I'd like to.
It's a really good movie too. I can't remember what the name of that is. I'm gonna have to look that up.
I mean, it's really terrible misogynist stuff, but at the same time, it was, I think it was a reaction to women coming into power, women coming into power, and so many male fashion designers helping boost women's power. The shoulder pad was coming in the late '70s, and women were knocking on the door of the executive, offices. And I think that all might have been an attempt to put them back in their place. But at the same time, they were so powerfully beautiful, those women. The image, the fashion image was so strong. It was still kind of, for me, I didn't see it that way as a kid. I thought the women were just amazing.
I looked up real fast. The movie is Peeping Tom, by the way.
Okay.
Peeping Tom. It's actually from the 1960s, not '70s. I just remember the era wrong. Yeah. But it's very very much of the same kind of genre you're talking about though. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
Probably not quite as lurid as some of the '70s stuff, but it's still very much the same thing. It was banned, and the only thing it got banned in England at first when it came out. It was like kind of controversial at the time. So
Okay.
Anyway. It's a really good movie, though. It's actually very, very stylish, very interesting little like Gallo type film. So anyway, it's worth checking out.
Okay. There was Body Double,
Yeah, I've seen Body Double. Yeah, that's a good one.
that's another one like in that same vein. And yet those, even, in TV videos, the women were objectified, but they were, I don't know, they just resonated with me. They were the stars. They were strong, and that's how I saw the Barbie doll. And I would have my favorite ones, and I would play with them as if I was the Barbie doll. And I'd live my adventure and get dressed up and go out and have a nice time. And just like Emerald, I played. And I had lots of little girlfriends who taught me that. They would teach me to do that. And we'd be on a sugar high from drinking grape Kool-Aid and having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Watching Gilligan Island and playing with our dolls.
Yeah, I mean, I see it. I mean, like I said, even though I didn't play with them that much, I still played with dolls of action figures, or whatever you want to call them. So I mean, I know what you mean. I get it. It's a. I guess you're probably a pretty big fan of De Palma's whole filmography. Then he's got a lot of movies like Body Double, really. So.
Yeah.
What was that one Femme Fatale I did a few years back with Rebecca Romaine? The movie seems very in that kind of very much in that same kind of vein.
Oh, I don't know that one. Thanks. Wow, I should. Okay.
Yeah, it's not unlike the Gallo type thing. It's not like but she's literally a femme fatale. The movie's about her being a femme fatale, but it's very, very objectifying, but at the same time it's a female empowerment movie, but it's also she's very much shot in a very objectified way, and it's very aware of that. It's very almost a satire of that kind of thing. It's very strange.
Wow.
It's a good movie. It's De Palma. That's what De Palma does. So
Yeah, there was none of that feeling in the Barbie movie, was there? I didn't see any femme fatale, really. I mean, Margot Robbie is sublime. You can't take your eyes off of her, no matter who you are. I think
it rides the line between objectification and still shooting them very beautifully. I thought it did a great job of that. That being like the whole quote unquote male gaze thing people always criticize. I didn't see any of that in this, and yet it still managed to shoot them all beautifully. It didn't uglify anything. So I did a great job of that. I think the movie is gorgeous. The Barbie movie is really, I mean, like the cinematography, the production design, everything is all on point. I mean, that shit is. I mean, like there's occasionally a couple of shots that are a little wonky here and there, but like nothing that I would really, I think it's even worth pointing out. It's not like it made it a Kubrick level, but it's still very, very good.
Yeah, the first idea for the makeup was to make them look like they were plastic, and then
they were what?
That made of plastic. They were all going to have shiny vinyl-looking faces.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't do that.
So they decided just to go with like the best fresh made-up makeup face.
They didn't looking like the weird plastic guys from like that Extends commercial or whatever that was from a few years back. Remember, like there was those weird Dick Pill commercials they used to play with like these guys that looked like they were made of plastic. They kind of looked like the Duracell guys too. I think they also did that. There's some sort of battery character. There's like these weird commercials that came out for a while that were like these like there was like these guys and I think there was a battery family that was like all plastic looking. They're very uncanny valley, very yeah. I wouldn't want to watch a whole movie like that, so I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah.
By the way, Emerald, Chris found a copy of that Spike Lee movie, Girl 6.
Oh,
You can watch it Tuesday. You want?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I had to go search. I had to go searching in the back rooms of the internet for that one, but I came across it. I didn't really come across it. I was looking for it in a couple different forums, and I came across like looking for something else in the forum. I came across this this guy saying like, man, you gotta check this site out. There's like this weird Russian social media site. They have like everything on there. I was like, oh really? I wonder if they got that. I went there and there it was. It was just like it was instant. Like it's just crazy. The first, like I told Jeff, the first copy I found was dubbed over in Russian. It was like you would hear the voices of the thing, and then you'd hear a man's Russian voice speaking the words in Russian over everything. It's very weird. That's something that happens a lot in Russian movies for some reason. Instead of like resubtitling them or something, in Russia for some reason they have this weird habit of having someone just like speak the words in their language over the movie. I have a movie that I wrote that this guy made named Portal 38, and one of the copies that's online of it is done like that. Like somebody dubbed it in Russian, and it's very, very disturbing to hear.
So, Emerald, what do you remember the names or the themes of some of the Barbie dolls that you owned as a child?
I don't think so. I remember there was one, it was like a limited edition, like I think she was like dressed in like this ball gown, but it was like Nutcracker themed, I think. It was like this gold, like it had gold accents on like the front and like, but I don't remember what it was called specifically.
They had a Barbie Nutcracker movie or cartoon or something.
Yeah.
Those were the first cartoons, I believe. And then in Toy Story by Pixar, that little Bo Peep doll was written as a Barbie, but they had to write her out when Mattel, said, no, we can't allow anyone to think that Barbie has any, specific personality or type of voice or look and taste. So make it a non-Barbie doll.
I recently saw. I can't remember. I think it was like it wasn't JonTron, but it was somebody like JonTron that did a breakdown of all the Barbie video games. It might have been JonTron. I don't know. It might have been for a while back, but there's some pretty bad, weird Barbie video games going even back to the early '80s. So I know there's been weird Barbie media for a long time.
Oh.
Yeah, like on the PC and like the ZX Spectrum and stuff like that, or ZX Spectrum as we say in the United States. It's a ZX over in England, I guess. So.
Yeah. I found Ryan Gosling to be a little too old to play Ken, but he did a really good job.
I just think he's hilarious in that. I really do. Like when he's back in Barbie Land, he's talking to he's telling it's like somebody even asked me for the time, and he just does the thing with the watches. I just thought that was hilarious. I don't know why. I laughed out loud with that part though.
Yeah, there are some things to go back and catch. It's a movie to watch probably several times. I'm probably not going to watch it again for a while, but there are a lot of little things, little details.
It definitely has a lot of little details in the background. I did notice there's a lot. I was paying a lot of attention to kind of the stuff around the edges of the frame this time as opposed to the first time I saw it, and I saw that there is a lot. There's a lot going on in the shots and stuff. It actually is rather well composed. So I mean I get the technical aspects of the movie. I do not fault at all on the technical aspects. Anyway, I think it's really cool that that everyone actually liked it as much as they did.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up watching it again if I don't out and out buy it to own.
But yeah, honestly, I mean, especially if it comes out, if there's a Blu-ray that comes out that actually has some decent special features, I might even look into buying it because I'd be interested in seeing some of the stuff behind the scenes stuff and stuff about this movie.
There's just too much to see. You can't take it all in one viewing or even two or three.
But what do we think about, or what do I think about, or you guys think of it wasn't for kids. Like the first real Barbie movie where Barbie's a real, it's played by a real actor. It's not for children at all.
Yeah, it's not. It's not for children. You're right.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it was PG-13, I guess, right? So I guess it's still technically
it's for teens on up. I'd say it's not like a Disney-fied kids movie.
But
and yet go ahead.
They almost curse. We got to bleach out, mother or something, and then that actress from Saturday Night Live, I can't think of her name, the fantastic actress I was so happy to see.
Kate McKinnon.
She was doing some sexual innuendo with the women.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, definitely.
She was. And that was straight. I mean, that was, for me, I wasn't expecting that. And then, she mentioned Ken's bulge.
Yeah.
How did I miss that? No, I didn't.
At one point, she said, I'd like to see the molded bulge that's in his pants or something.
Yeah. I didn't pay much attention to Ken. Like, he didn't do for me as a character what I
No,
thought
this is Weird Barbie. Weird Barbie talking about she's like, oh, that kin of yours. I'd like to see the nude bald bulge under his pants or something like that. Something like
I
that.
don't remember that part. Maybe that might have been a part where my internet was.
Where you had to
breaking
reset your router.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ruth Handler wanted a penis implant. She fought for it. She fought for it, like tooth and nail, with all the men in the boardroom who told her, you cannot put a penis on a child's toy. But her original concept, like the earliest, until the 60s, some of the dolls came with nipples. That was, there were several molds. The way they were molded, you had to constantly remake the mold. And you're just breaking it apart. It was injection molded, but it had to spin the thing around after like the first day, for example, after you stand inside the mold to get it out. And it's fun while it was in the mold, so that there were no seams anywhere, which is very expensive. It's all very expensive. And, so that one of those, or several of those molds had nipples. And, and she wanted him to have a penis and testicles. And that was part of the original concept. Which would have.
I didn't know that.
There's a book. I've read a lot about the doll, but there's a book by, I think the author's last name is Lord. It's called Forever Barbie, and it's not like a book that I would truly say go and read, but there's some information that she kind of presents. I think she has a lot to do with the reaction this movie had to what it assumed that people have as an attitude towards Barbie. I think that book by that author called Forever Barbie, I forget her last name, it's like Lord, I'm sorry, but it kind of presents an image of Barbie like this is harming little girls, just by looking at this doll and her dimensions, and it really points out how unrealistic the doll looks and how it's not possible for a real person to look that way. But I mean, she didn't get the point that the doll wasn't designed to look like a real person. She was designed to be like the cartoon, like those really,
Sure.
There's some kind of noise in the background.
Yeah.
Of somebody that's making it hard to hear.
I'm pretty sure it's on your side, Alan. There, it's some kind of shuffling sound.
I have it too. It's in my. I'm sorry. It's in one of my earbuds. Is
okay.
it gone now?
No,
it's like a static thing.
Paper or something.
Yes, I had a pair of headphones that did it before. That it can happen with if there's a short or something. A short can cause that kind of electrical disturbance.
Is it still happening? Is it gone now?
No, it's still happening some, but it's not happening as much. I don't think, but it's still happening some. But it's okay.
I've just tried to hold perfectly still. I took one earbud out. Now I put the other one in. Sorry.
It's all right. No shame.
I don't hear it.
Anyway.
If I take out the headphones, does it go away? Now are you guys hearing your echo or my echo?
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, I think that made it worse. Whatever we did then.
Okay.
Oh, now the echo.
That's the headphone. I'm so sorry.
No big deal. Well,
Well, did we exhaust the movie? Are there any last-minute thoughts on it?
I guess I've studied Barbie as a male collector, that's just my point of view. But I'm curious, what do you guys think of the image of Barbie? What does it mean? What does it do? What is it about? Is it just a money-making toy?
What do we
couldn't
think
quite make out
of
what you said.
the original Barbie?
What do you think of Barbie in general? What What is it for? What does it do? Is it a pretty thing?
I don't think anything. I never think about it.
Yeah, it was
Barbie had
not
no
something
meaning in my life.
not something I really gave much thought to before, to be honest. Like,
That's why I'm so surprised I like the movie. There's nothing about Barbie that would cause me to like this movie. So it's the merits of the movie itself as a work of art, as a creative project.
as a satire, I feel the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, like at the beginning,
I have no.
G.I. Joe movie, whatever. It just happened to be Barbie, but what they did with it to me was so
Yeah, I agree.
rich and so creative.
I agree with that. I guess I'm disappointed that it wasn't so much about Barbie. It was like what they did with it. It was like they came up with their own.
Yeah, you're right. Barbie was just kind of the brand.
She even kind of points that out. She kind of points that out at the end of it too. Like she tells her, she's like, "Well, you did this," and she's like, "No, I didn't really do that." And then she says like, "Well, you helped that daughter connect with her," and she's like, "No, they kind of did that on their own." And when she makes some crack about maybe you're self-effacing Barbie, you know. So like the movie's even aware of the fact that Barbie doesn't have much to do with her own story.
For me, I see that differently. I see that like the doll was doing what it was supposed to do, which is bring something out of the people who interact with it. You know, have the people who interact with it, you know, use it as a conduit, or, you know, like the dream of Rosander was to have little girls imagine their grown-up life and live out their fantasies and experiment with who they were going to become.
But aren't they doing it themselves? Like, Barbie's so passive; she doesn't do anything.
But there is a good point there.
Catalyst for everyone else's imagination.
There's a good point there, though. In that, yes, that's true. She doesn't have much agency. I get really loud there. Is it mine that's doing that? I don't.
No, I think it's Ellen.
I'm so sorry. I think when I'm breathing, it's just moving the gosh darn headphone a little bit. If I hold it up like this, is that better?
Okay. No, all I was saying is that there is a good point there, though, that I feel like.
I don't know what it is.
Let me make sure. I'm going to unplug.
I don't think it's you, Chris. Maybe
just
we can
sure.
mute you and like mute you while he talks and unmute you.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. Yeah, all I was going to say was that I think there's a good point in that, and I think they kind of missed an opportunity with the dialogue there in the movie. Even like I think the mother, the character that created Barbie, that Ray Perlman played. I think that they kind of missed something there, because like whenever Barbie kind of keeps refuting, like she kind of points out that she didn't really do anything. I think, but there is something to be said of the fact that still none of those things would have happened, though. Like none of the things that would happen in the movie would have happened if Barbie hadn't been there, though. So even though she doesn't do anything, but none of the events of the movie would have happened without her. So I mean, it's kind of there's an interesting dichotomy there,
Yeah, I think that's the point that you wanted to make. That's what the goal. And so, but the whole thing about Barbie Land and all that was completely contrived. I mean, even the whole story of like Ken not being important, I mean, that was up to the child. If you had a Ken doll, you could do whatever you wanted. But the Ken doll, you didn't have to make him, kind of subservient, unimportant sidekick to Barbie.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts, Emerald?
I mean, not really. I kind of disagree with everything you're saying. Like, she was kind of the glue that kind of kept everything together, even though she is more, I guess, passive. And yeah, without her presence, like, she probably, I don't know, looks like she's kind of like the in-between, like, you interact with her and then you create a relationship, even though it's like a doll. But it's like she's symbolic of something in your life.
Yeah,
kind of a reflection, kind of like a little mini mirror that for little girls in a way. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you kind of project yourself onto her, I guess.
Yeah. She didn't do anything in her own world, but when she was in the human world, she was like almost an action hero. She was very active, and she did like she was getting out of the corporate building and then taking them to Barbie Land and all of that. So she had a very active role, not in her reality, and in her own reality, she had a very passive role. She was just kind of the spirit of the place.
Yeah, stereotypical Barbie.
Yeah.
She was the spirit of the original Barbie. Just didn't have any of the degrees or whatever they supposedly have. It's kind of. It's a very kind of weird, like the little opening montage of all the Barbies and everything. And like what was it, like one of them like accepts them for a reward and says like, "I deserve this because I worked very hard for it." I'm
Yeah.
like none of the Barbies actually do anything besides just being Barbies in Barbie Land. So like they don't really like they might dress in the robes or anything, but they don't actually do anything really. So they don't have any. And like one of them's like fighting some sort of oppression of some sort, but like they don't have anything to oppress them yet. So like it's very strange that they would be making speeches about this sort of thing because there's no conflict. So but I think that's kind of intentional though. It's kind of, I think that's kind of the point of it is that they're all kind of oblivious. They're kind of like there's to a degree of it. Like, did you ever see the movie Pleasantville? Anybody ever see that movie?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that the one where they're like in the bunker, the nuclear bunker?
No. It's a movie where like Reese Witherspoon and Tobey Maguire are these teenagers, and they're in a nuclear bunker in that. I don't remember that being a nuclear bunker. I just remember them getting transported into a television show, and and as they're there, because they start bringing the real world into the TV show, it starts making everything turn color.
No, maybe I didn't see it. I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's a good one. And this film definitely borrowed things from that.
Yeah, it reminded me of a little bit of Pleasantville. And Pleasantville's a great movie, actually. It's actually very underrated. That's one we should add to the list too, just because like
I'm about to add it right now.
That movie's very underseen. It's got it's really cool visually too, because they go into the TV show, they become black and white, and then as it goes on, them kind of like they both like enlighten people, and also they kind of corrupt it at the same time. They kind of corrupt the perfect kind of thing. So there's a really nuanced message to it. There's a really nuanced message about that knowledge can be corrupting and also can be enlightening at the same time. So I think it's a very nuanced film. It's really worth watching. Once again, it's very similar to Barbie, and it's a very very silly premise, but I think the messaging in Pleasantville is much better in terms of like it's much more cleanly written. But I really do like your point on Barbie being like kind of like a kind of an intentional ball of contradiction. I think I really like that viewpoint on it, because I think it makes the movie kind of make sense to my brain a little bit more if you think of it as more intentional in that sense of like intentionally kind of like presenting a point and then counterpointing it like all constantly to itself, constantly this point counterpoint kind of like the movie's having a dialogue with itself.
Yeah, I think it's trying to confound messaging, and almost deliberately and intentionally.
I mean, it almost is a dialogue about itself. So I mean, it's kind of interesting.
It's very meta.
Yeah.
And the beginning was fun. Like I even wanted to live in Barbie Land after watching.
Me too. Let's go to
the
Barbie
most fun
Land.
place.
all you need is I can't rollerblade, so I'll never get there. So I'm screwed.
They need like a little satanic Barbie house, like goth Barbie or something. I would totally have a place in that world.
Yeah, like a big pink mansion with a pentagram on it, on the pentagram on the top, and you can see it from yeah.
I feel like there's a place for me there's a place for everyone in Barbie Land.
Yeah.
Except for Alan, I guess. So.
Yeah, well, he even had a place. There's even a hierarchy in Barbie Land, because he was at the bottom of it.
I love Michael Cera in this movie. I love Alan as a character. I wish there was a little bit more to him in the movie, instead of just being kind of a like 2-note joke kind of thing. I like the fact I felt like his whole fight sequence was a callback to Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So, so I love that part of it. I just love I feel like him, like just seeing Michael Cera like kicking ass was just, to me, it felt like it was an obvious callback to Scott Pilgrim. So I love that. Just that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, honestly. I just seriously, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, one of my top 5 films of all time. So I think it's a masterpiece of meta filmmaking itself. Very, kind of, I love movies like that are like really high concept and like attempt all these kind of things like that. Oh, there we go. Let's see here. He's got a. I guess this we've got one of the classic Barbies
Oh.
there.
Let's see. Who is she? That's yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Curly.
Mhm.
What's her name?
Steph.
Steph.
1973.
She's from 71, I think he said.
I can't understand you, man. There's too much noise.
1973.
73?
1973.
And there was an outfit in the movie.
Brady Bunch era.
There was an outfit in the movie when she goes to meet kindergarten. That's a based on this. The movie had a white collar. White collar. They had a tie, almost knee-high white top.
We can't hear you.
I can't understand you, man.
It's I don't know what's happening, but it's that noise is taking over.
Yeah. I will say, if a store like Hot Topic or Box Lunch brought out like a line of like clothes from the Barbie movie, and they sold that freaking Ken like fur thing, I wouldn't wear it, but I'd buy it.
The white
if I had the money. Yeah, like the white fur thing.
I like
he's wearing,
his black fringe.
Yeah, that
More than
too.
I like the white fur. I don't like the
wouldn't.
cowboy outfit.
I don't think I'd ever wear them, but I'd want to own them. I would say that. I don't think I can pull that look off. But I mean, they look really. It does look cool in the movie though. So I'm pretty tired, guys. I think I'm gonna go lay down. I'm getting I've been yawning like crazy. So I've really enjoyed the talk though.
We can end it. I have a long day tomorrow. I'll probably stream tomorrow night if I'm not too worn out.
I'll try to come on.
Or actually, Machine Lies usually streams on Saturday. I might just hang out on his over there.
Okay. All right. Well, if you stream, let me know. I definitely will come along and yeah. Hey, bye, Alan. Like really. I appreciate the Barbie history and stuff like that. I think it was really cool context for the rest of the talk we were having. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you. It was good to talk to you and.
Yeah, come back anytime as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, every Tuesday and Friday we do movies. So and I stream every day. So feel free to stop by anytime.
Yeah, well, if you stream tomorrow night, I'll jump on tomorrow night. I'll see you then. Otherwise, good night, Emerald. Good night, Ellen. Good night, Jeff. It's been fun. I enjoyed it.
Good night. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Play it out.
Right. Bye.
Thank you. You're playing music.
Yeah.
You can play the Barbie song.
It only gives me. It's the StreamYard music. It only gives me like 7 or 8 tracks to pick from.
Would you get like copyright issues if you did Barbie?
But I have a friend that offered to make my own theme song for me.
Okay.
He's the one that did the PFU theme song for the Gender Fuck. John.
Okay.
John Pike.
I don't think I know him. Is that the one that did the music video?
Yeah.
What was that called? What was that song called?
I don't know. He has a lot of them.
Okay.
Which one did we watch?
Don't know what it was
He has a
called.
whole YouTube channel with a bunch of videos on it. Yeah, so I might get my own personal theme song at some point. But until then, I'm stuck with the StreamYard ones.
It's got dance.
So have a good Friday night, everybody. We will be here again tomorrow. So have a good weekend, and I don't know. I'll see you. I'll definitely see you on Tuesday.
Yes. What are we watching?
Girl 6, that Spike Lee movie.
Okay.
She's a phone sex operator, and she draws all kind of unsavory characters.
So, like my life.
Yes, I think we will both relate to.
Okay.
All right, and Alan, is good to talk. We'll talk soon too, I'm sure.
Yeah, thanks for the Barbie history. I'm gonna check out that book, Forever Barbie.
Yeah, it shows you how people when people first start looking at Barbie,
kind of
Okay, take
vibey
care.
music.
I know I
kind of a
get stuck
vibe.
in these loops. Once I play them, I can't break out of them.
Yeah.
Start the stream. I get stuck in them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll see everyone later.
Okay. See you.